Competitive debate is like a battle of wits. While wars may be fought with guns and bombs, debates are argued with logic and preparation. Good afternoon, my name is Giulio Ferrari, and I will be explaining the structure of public forum debate. I am very experienced on the topic since I practiced this type of debate in high school, and I'm currently a debate coach. With my experience, I managed to win several debate tournaments and carry my students to win their own. Debating is a useful skill to have for anyone. We have all wanted to prove a point to coworkers, friends, or family. Participating in public forum debate is one of the ways to develop these skills that is available to any high schooler. Public forum debate is a type of debate practiced in high schools around the world that has a set structure. Using this structure, arguments are introduced and refuted in order to get a judge to give a team a win. Public forum has four main parts: the constructive speech, the rebuttal speech, the summary speech, and the final focus speech. I will be explaining these parts to all of you. We should begin by explaining the constructive speech. The constructive speech is a part of the debate where all the major arguments are introduced. For a topic about nuclear weapons, for example, a debater might choose to use arguments relating to the magnitude of using such weapons. Wisconsin High School Forensic Association in 2021, in their debate rulebook, explains that both teams have about 4 minutes to explain their arguments, using evidence and logic to persuade the judge to vote for them. Lake Travis High School, in their website, furthers that for any given topic, the debaters will not know prior to the debate what side they are on, if they are for, pro, or against, con the resolution. This is decided by a coin toss right before the round, so all debaters must prepare constructive speeches for the pro and the con side. The constructive speech has no set structure, but there are a few guidelines that most debaters use to help organize the speeches. The first is separating arguments by what are called contentions. And the second is separating between the claim, the warrant, and the impact. The claim is an introduction to your argument. The warrant includes the explanation to the argument as well as the evidence that supports it, and the impact, which must not be forgotten, is a reason why the argument is important. Impacts may range from lives saved to ecosystems preserved, anything that helps explain how the pro or con side of a topic can affect people. Now that we understand how arguments are introduced, I will explain how arguments are refuted in a debate round. The speech where opposing arguments are refuted is called the rebuttal. Wisconsin High School Forensic Association mentions that in the 4-minute rebuttal speech, teams must respond to all of their opponent's arguments with evidence and logic. The evidence that debaters use to respond to arguments is commonly called a block. Lake Travis High School says that any argument that is not responded to is called a dropped argument and can be used against them. It's as if the debater agrees with the opponent's argument. The New York State Forensic League, in their debate tutorial, describes that debaters have the freedom to respond to arguments in any way they want. However, most responses will fall into two categories: offensive and defensive. An offensive response or return is when a debater converts the opponent's argument into their own by providing a spin to the argument. This may be done by reversing the impact, for instance, saying that jobs will be lost instead of created due to a certain measure taken. A defensive response, on the other hand, is when a debater simply makes an argument invalid, such as saying that their evidence is outdated or that the impact will occur whether the measure is taken or not. Now that arguments have been introduced and refuted, you may be wondering, what's next? The summary speech is next. The 3-minute summary speech is a place for teams to build their arguments back up after their opponent's rebuttal. By explaining how their opponent's responses were incorrect, which is called frontlining, their arguments are back to being validated in the round. Frontlining is an important part of the summary speech, but it is not the only part of it. In the summary speech, teams will start to weigh their impacts with their opponents. If a debater understands that their opponent is winning a certain argument, they can compare it with their own arguments. Saying that an impact affects fewer people or has a lower probability of happening are all valid ways of weighing an argument. If a team fails to frontline an argument, they are agreeing with their opponent's response. Also, if a team fails to weigh an argument, the judge can decide by themselves with their own personal preferences and biases which argument is more important. Debaters have no control over these preferences, so they should avoid this at all costs. After breaking down and rebuilding their speeches, teams have one final chance to convince the judges to give them the win in the final focus. The final focus speech is the last chance a team gets to prove their superiority in the debate. In this speech, debaters will get 2 minutes to explain to the judge why they have won the debate. This is done by bringing up blocks that broke down their opponent's arguments and front lines that helped bring back their own arguments, as explained by the New York State Forensic League. Just like the summary speech, teams will have to weigh their arguments, putting great emphasis in explaining the benefits of voting for them and the harms of voting for the opposing team. This is done in an effort for judges to remember that their arguments and understand that those arguments are the reason why they should give a certain debater a win in the round. These 4 speeches are the basis of the 45-minute public forum debate. After these speeches are delivered, the judge chooses a winner that may continue to debate in the tournament. The constructive, rebuttal, summary, and final focus speeches provide a succinct class of arguments and allow enough time for both teams to explain their arguments and for judges to choose a fair winner. I hope this speech allowed you to understand the structure of public forum debate and why it's so entertaining for high schoolers on all corners of the world. I hope this also inspired you to fight with logic and reasoning, not with punches or weapons.